potential cheaper, and I know I haven't used these. You may have used them, Ewok. I don't think you have. But potential cheaper bridging to PulseChain options than ETH on potentially Binance Smart Chain, or using other methods of trying to bridge over into PulseChain, because these ETH fees are just absolutely untenable right now. You and I were talking about it the other day. It's like, how the hell can anybody do anything on this network in the bull market? And I know that we and many people have bitched about this for years now, but it's really ramping up now. And we're starting to see, I wasn't kidding earlier when I said there was a time where Gwei was $275 today. I was going to send cash out. I've been waiting to send some cash out of Coinbase, and it would literally, I think, was like $45 or something to send it out of there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like, how can you even operate in this system? And, it's getting to the point where, like, to bridge to PulseChain, the fees from the Ethereum side, you're suddenly paying $50+ just to bridge, when we were paying, I paid $6, a few weeks back. So it's very, very different now. What do you make of some of these other ways to bridge in? I was looking today, there's pulseln.com. I believe sparkswap.xyz might be one. There's a few. Check out Gold Keys Twitter for anybody watching. I know he sent out a list of some earlier today as well. There's that Tokens X, looks like Token Sex when you go to it. I think
well, it's actually Tokens Express, which it's short for. So
when you bridge from one chain to another, it is kind of like token sex.
It is.
Yeah.
If you go to PulseCoin list and you look up the bridges, there's a whole list of them. Some of the ones, even there are other ones as well, but these are the ones that are listed. So Tokens Express is the one you were talking about. The problem with that, I think, is it's kind of low liquidity. So you don't want to do a whole lot at one time. I think there is a maximum to it, but you definitely don't want to hit that threshold. But the fees are so cheap that it doesn't matter if you have to do 5 or 6 of them. You know what I mean? You're paying pennies. So, yeah, I think that's one of the better ways to get around these. And you're right. Gas prices, I don't think they've been lower than 60 for about a week now. I've been watching, and they've been up as high as what the hell, it was 380 earlier today.
Yeah.
So somebody asked earlier, what happens whenever when Ethereum is 8,000, 10,000, 15,000, what happens then? Well, it just gets unusable. I mean, yes, there's going to be people that are extremely wealthy, and there's a lot of people that don't care about the fees, but there's a bunch of others that do, and yeah, you're going to have to find alternatives. So luckily we have some, we have PulseChain, which is why it was created. Eventually that network could get just as busy. I mean, if everything works out the way we think it will, in 7 years, probably we could see some pricing get out of hand there too. May have to fork that again then and just make another one. So I don't know. I'm sure they have a solution by then. I'm hoping they do. But for now, yeah, some of these bridges that you can use. I know Portal X is another one. Sometimes that one's been down. I haven't seen anything lately about it, but I know there for a while it was down. But the Tokens Express, the Portal X, the Block Blend is one that's a little bit. There's no KYC with that one at all for getting stuff over. Change Now and what was one of the other ones? Spark Swap isn't on this list either. Change Now is, but Spark Swap, I've heard a lot of good things about Spark Swap as well.
Me too.
Just different ways to, like I said, go from even BNB over to PulseChain, just to try and save on some of the fees. Anything you can do to save fees, the better. But just be careful. Don't go too far down the back alley to get over there, because then you could get rinsed, and it really doesn't matter how much you saved because you just lost everything. So. Yeah, there's a lot of good options. Again, this PulseCoin list has a lot of good links for different things. They not only have bridges, but there's a lot of things like analytics and um, centralized exchange, which, again, I saw Pac-Man commenting how we need to be on centralized exchanges. I really don't agree with that, but we'll get there, man. We're 10 months. We'll get there. We
Yeah.
need to grow what we've got first before we start expanding onto that. You guys have the I want it now mentality, and I think we need to grow it organically and do the things we're doing. Let it build. Let the ecosystem take care of itself, and eventually people will start listing us. We will not have to go in and pay to be listed, and that's one of the things that we've really never done. I know Richard is not a fan of that at all. He does not like to pay to get onto exchanges. But if we make enough noise and become vibrant enough, people will start listing us. They'll have no choice. People will start requesting it. So,
Yeah.
just my 2 cents.
Yeah, we're getting a couple of comments from people that have used SparkSwap successfully, so that's
Yeah,
good to see. I may look a bit further into that. I will bookmark that and check it out a
I've
bit
heard good
further.
things. Yep.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks like they have. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, BSC is on there. Pulse. They actually have Arbitrum listed on there too, which that could be interesting because I typically do onboard, unfortunately, into Coinbase, and then I know that they have Arbitrum listed as a network that you can send on from there, and obviously the fees are much cheaper. So, yeah,
Yeah.
if you guys, if one of you guys has a moment, that was Patrick Astros and stuff, and Gunblazer, put a quick. Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. There, you just answered my question. So, Coffee has a video using Arbitrum instead of ETH. Sweet. I'm gonna check that out. I was just thinking that out in my head, and then you said it. So perfect. There you go. Gunblazer said it too.
Yep.
My man. That's what I'm gonna start doing. Sweet. I'll check that out. And this is especially good for like smaller amounts. I mean, like, you could do it. I mean, if you're real stingy about fees and stuff, do it no matter what. But yeah, that seems like the way to go because you can send straight from Coinbase on Arbitrum. So yeah, bought USDC from Coinbase and Arbitrum to PulseChain. I usually use DAI. I think DAI will still go through Arbitrum the last I've looked, so I'll check that out again. But yeah, shout out to you guys. I am definitely going to bookmark SparkSwap. That may be the way to go here. And just get off ETH. Like, just stop using ETH because it's just becoming untenable. So,
Well, some of
go
us
ahead.
have no choice. We still have the hex stakes that were over there. I went to end one the other day, and it's still holding because I refused to pay over a certain amount. So it'll probably time out, or if it gets down into the 40s, it'll accept it. But I actually think I said it in the high 30s, so it may not ever hit. With the way
Right.
things go, it's possible. I would have to cancel the transaction, but I thought I'd take a shot at least over the weekend. Because sometimes in the middle of the night on the weekend you get some decent rates and things tame down a little bit, but it didn't happen this weekend. It never got lower than 50, I don't think.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and to your point, sorry, I'm doing two things at once. I'm looking at SparkSwap, and if you go to Arbitrum, it does look like only USDC is the token on SparkSwap that you can bridge over. So maybe you have to use USDC if you're going to go that route. But anyway, to your point, Hex Girl just said this too. There's no alternative when your eHex stake ends. Yeah, bridging is one thing. If you have these eHex stakes, obviously, yeah, that's where you're at. So I know we've talked about strategies with that before, Ewok, about like just ditching the stake and buying Hex instead on the market or something like that. There's just not a lot of options at times. I mean, like, what would you do if you got to the end of the stake and you just were never able to do it for a dollar amount that made sense to you in terms of paying the gas fee? What would you do? Bite the
I would
bullet?
probably let it bleed. Yeah,
Yeah.
if it doesn't make sense. I mean, I still have copies on PulseChain, so it is what it is. I mean, as long as it makes sense and I'm making more, I will end it. And you know, but there comes a point where, and that's one of the things I tried not to. Not that I knew what the future looked like, because obviously when we started some of these, it was very cheap. It was very cheap then.
Hmm.
It was like a buck or two at most. You were starting the stake for 10, 15 cents. thinking that I put 2 or 5,000 hex out in the future. That who knows what it could be, but it turns out that that wouldn't be enough unless it was over $1 per hex at that point. You have to have, but you have to have the capital first. It's not like you
Right.
can take a flash loan out to do it, um, end your stake and then pay it back in the same thing. I mean, that would be nice on some of them, but you do have to have that upfront. So yeah, I mean, sometimes what I'll do is if it's too high and I can buy that amount for what it's asking, I would just buy it. I'll just buy more. But I would
Right.
probably put it on PulseChain because, at what point do they fix it? We don't know. We hope they do, but it's not guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah, there's also, I mean, as the stakes go on, and hopefully you don't have tons and tons and tons of stakes that you're always on staking or anything like that. But as they go on, I mean, you could also just differentiate the way you're doing stuff. Maybe you could just bite the bullet on some of them, let some bleed out, and maybe just market buy it instead. I mean, you could just kind of hedge your bets, no matter what. But yeah, appreciate it, Philly. I think that's pretty much going to wrap it up. But yeah, there's so many ways to get into Pulse Chain, but the Ethereum ways are just becoming unusable right now, and it's probably only going to get worse. So we'll continue to look at solutions. I did just find that Crypto Coffee video. I didn't know he posted that, but yeah, 3 weeks ago, how to buy Pulse Chain with cheaper fees using Arbitrum and Binance BSC alternate bridge. So yeah, shout out to Coffee because he is always coming in the clutch. I'll post that in the chat for anybody that hasn't seen it. He's always coming in the clutch with great videos that are very applicable. Yeah, Patrick's using Spark Swaps fees were less than $5. Yeah, you can't beat that. So
Nope.